Pull the military troops out, pull the cops out, pull everybody out because somebody somewhere might be in danger.
Let's go over why the National Guard is in D.C. Because Democrats who have run the city for decades decided to ignore enforcing the law and instead, to your point, try to defund the police and allow criminals to run roughshod across the city. And the reason that you hear this spin from the left right now is because they have to make a spin on this. Because if they were to focus on the facts show us that this suspect was allowed in through Biden's reckless Operation Allies Welcome, which we now know from a DHS IG 2022 report, it did not have proper screening, did not have proper vetting of these Afghan refugees. And if the left was to report on that accurately, it would lead Americans to say, you know what? Donald Trump's reaction to this tragedy is spot on, it's prudent, and it's exactly what's needed to prevent future tragedies. And they're not going to let that happen.
Speaking of those Afghan nationals, Ben Shapiro asking a pretty fair question about letting them come into the country. He said the following, watch.
If, in fact, there are people who are being brought in who initially are somewhat friendly to the United States or have worked with the United States and then are being radicalized in the United States, you have to start asking some pretty serious questions about which organizations in the United States here, like at home, are actually radicalizing people.
Because we know they're not being assimilated, Emily, right? We know that these people could possibly be radicalized because they're in these communities that can radicalize others. That's when you're assimilated, there's a different procedure. You learn to love the country. You learn to respect the country. Not in these cases.
Well, they're not assimilating, nor do they want to. But when Ben said that, I had to go into a deep dive analysis. And here's what I came up with. There's three main reasons why this could happen. So first, obviously, Biden's open border led these people in with the seed planted from their own country of this hatred, for America. Number two is that once you're here in America, extremism is rewarded on social media. And I bet you when your friend was reporting that he was in isolation, I bet you anything he was just deep diving on social media where the algorithms promote the most extreme of both sides. Now, lastly, is this Biden culture of victimization. Now, funnily enough, Aaron Cohen, a friend of this show, has an AI platform that detects the most threatening, attacks. Right. And he found that people who believe that they're victims, oppressed, self-pitying people, suicidal people are the number one aggressors in homicides. So when you have this victim mentality that's rewarded in the United States, the stats don't lie.
The stats don't lie. Something is going to happen. Here is a Palestinian-American community organizer on ICE protests. Watch.
A few people turned into dozens to hundreds, making sure that they were actually putting their bodies on the line to defend their neighbors.
Murad, do you have advice for regular people who might be watching the show right now for how they should react if something like this happens in their neighborhood?
So first and foremost, everyone, including U.S. citizens, should know what their rights are.
So they fought and fought, Brianna. Wait, we can't call them illegal immigrants. It's got to be undocumented. It's got to be, without papers. And now they're just neighbors. And they expect you to just follow the narrative. They're just neighbors.
Yeah, Trace, I'm not surprised that MS Now is quite literally giving cover
to... Oh, that one's called MS Now.
MS Now.
Got it.
They're literally giving cover to the obstruction of law enforcement because they're not journalists. They are propagandists for the left. And to the point about neighbors, the reason they use this language is they understand that in order to guilt Americans out of their God-given right to sovereignty, you got to guilt them. And you do that by blurring the line and weaponizing a word like neighbor, which elicits like sympathy and nice kind emotions, to guilt Americans out of deporting not their neighbors, but criminal illegal aliens.
Yeah, it's like Maryland Dad. White House wants to start a Media Offender of the Week program. Here is a former Biden associate.
He's been pretty consistent in demeaning journalists from his first administration on through the campaign and now. I just think that when he doesn't like something that they're saying, he freaks out, and this is what he does, is attack, and it's just a matter of theater and projecting and deflecting, quite frankly.
I remember Joe Biden, they called a person on this network a stupid son of a gun a long time ago. Anyway, Offender of the Week, Emily.
When did Biden do that? Because as far as I recall, he was dodging the media, blocking access, not allowing journalists
in. The rare times they did that.
Only The View with very preset questions that he approved of were the only people getting Biden airtime. She is conflating her feelings with the facts. Trump has never thrown a tantrum. And I hate when people act like the president criticizing reporters is this Trumpian sin. No, every president is entitled to criticize reporters. Let me tell you, listening to them ask questions sometimes is very painful. And it's just ironic coming from a Biden staffer of all people, because he didn't even allow journalists in, and then he dares criticize Donald Trump.
Yeah. Emily, Brianna?